Today I'm going to solo kill every single objective you see in this video. My name's Ladpad and welcome to the nearly 20,000 damage life and perhaps the most epic carry I've ever had in Frontlines. I'm starting today's video off in the LT-432, and this tank, to be frank, is going to do almost everything you see in this replay. In Frontlines, being on the offense is just the best, because if you're able to get to the enemy opposing flank and you get back into their backline to these objectives, each objective has 3,500 health. And just the way that humans are in nature, not a lot of people pay attention. So if you're able to take a sneaky, really fast vehicle like the LT-432, you can just free farm, you can fire on reload for quite literally minutes at a time. And one of the perhaps hidden secrets of a tank like the LT-432 is that it has phenomenal high explosive rounds if you're able to penetrate them. At 300 damage per shot with a 4-second reload, you are able to just spam these things and get upwards of 4,500 damage per minute. Now, in order to get there, I have to cap these objectives, and you'll notice that I'm not firing at the Batchat 12T. I know that my sixth sense has not gone off, and that when he shot at me, he was actually just blind firing. So I elect not to shoot at him. However, this Samua is going to push within 50 meters of me, and that means I am going to get spotted. I drop the minefield, and I'm getting out of dodge as quickly as I can. Unfortunately, that capture attempt did not work out, and my efforts, or my attempt to snowball this game in favor of my team, hasn't been successful yet. And now with the P-44 Pantera putting a really good shot into the back, I think, of my turret, with a damaged ammo rack, I am going to get the heck out of dodge right now. Now you'll notice I'm not getting out of the dip quite yet. I know that if I stay in here, I've got a little bit more protection, a little bit more coverage against the enemy guns, and I know that getting out of this dip is going to take a lot of time. Whenever you're going uphill, your tank is going to be much slower than it otherwise would be. However, with the P-44 Pantera getting killed, I know that I'm probably not going to get spotted getting out of this difficult situation, and I finally can progress towards the repair depot. So, not an exceptional start to this replay, but I'm definitely trying to do the right thing, and that is I'm trying to put pressure on the cap as much as I can. In this situation, at the start of your games, you want to either capture the point or put pressure on the flanks, trying to clear off as many guns as you can. In most games, I would elect actually to go on the flank and start shooting, but in a light tank like this, I don't think my gun's going to be exceptional until I get into more of an open space. On this map, on the A point, this right here is just a corridor. It's a terrible place for a light tank, and on the right side is very open and very difficult to progress the situation. Not a lot of flanking available right there. Right here, you'll notice the IS-3 is blind firing at me. I believe in a moment the Batchat 12T is going to blind fire me as well, and finally I just have it. I know if he's just going to continue firing, I'm not going to be able to cap, even if he's not exactly sure where I am. I loaded in a high explosive shell, do 300 damage in a light tank, and then I just decide not to fire. Right here, I believe I'm unspotted. I'm actually pulling back from where they were blind firing, and somebody has made an excellent play and has put the smoke screen down. That means it's going to be very difficult for the opponents to fire at us. Right here, I realize if I just secure a kill on this very smart Batchat 12T, I can get his gun out of the game, and it's going to be much, much easier for us to cap. Right here, aided by the smoke screen, I believe, or at least at a fair distance away from my opponents, I'm willing to put in a couple shells, but now, with just a few seconds left on the cap, I'm going to hold my shots. I would much rather manage to get in the cap, to get a ton of progress towards the next rank, and eventually hitting general, that for me right now, at this moment, it's worth not firing until the capture finishes. I put in an excellent shell into the IS-3's tracks, dealing damage, taking off his tracks, and earning me about 600 assistance damage. So right here, just a few minutes into this replay, I'm already up to Sergeant and very close to Lieutenant, and it's been an excellent start to the battle. Right here, I have the choice over what I want. Inspire is an excellent ability. It boosts your view range, your crew skills, your reload, but I think it's just more important to have field repairs, because field repairs ensures that you are able to just to gain more health. Right now, because of field repairs, I'm not truly driving an 1100 health light tank around. I'm driving around a 17, 18 1700, 1800, 1900 health light tank, and that is just an absurd beast to deal with in this situation. Now, why pick the LT-432? The high explosive rounds, as I've mentioned, are phenomenal. They've got great alpha damage, and you can get up to that 4,500 damage per minute threshold. However, it's very difficult to penetrate anything. These rounds only have 44 millimeters of penetration. However, on all of my frontline games, I think that if you can take a fast tank, the best thing that can happen on offense is you capture a single point on either the left or right flanks. In this case, my goal is going to hopefully be to capture the D flank. Once you capture the left flank, something really interesting happens. Your opponents are going to be spread incredibly thinly across the battlefield. This is an enormous map. You can't drive it unless you're going to take quite literally minutes at a time. And so that means if your opponents are stuck up here fighting at the forward, at the first initial point, you can get behind that point's guns, and you can free farm them with very, very little interference. And so my goal is I want to get behind these artillery batteries, shoot HE into the backs of them, and solo kill as many of these as I can, earning me a ton of credits. Right now, I'm loading in high explosive. I shoot the back of the mule, dealing 306 damage. Once again, incredible HE rounds. However, they do just massively struggle with penetration, and I can't even penetrate the front of the mule. Kind of hilariously, the Senlac runs into the mule. I drop a minefield on him, ram the Senlac into a mine, dealing immense amounts of damage. I kill the Senlac right here, pop my field repairs, and right here, by switching to a different flank, I have helped to secure the kills on both the Barask and the Senlac, and now I'm coming around to finally finish off the FE-4202. I think it's really important to note what transitioning from flank to flank does. My opponents didn't expect anybody coming in from the A flank, and when I came in, I helped to secure 3 kills. Using the tab key, sticking on my front, you can see right here, my team had a small tank advantage on this flank, perhaps up by 1 without me, but me running in, killing 3 tanks, manages to completely swing this flank in our favor. And so that was an exceptional play, and one that really helped to swing the tide of this game. A second thing I do that doesn't have a huge effect on the game overall, but something clever you can do in your games, is notice that I didn't shoot the T-32 until after he started healing. The way that the repair depots work in Frontline is once you come on a depot, you have to stay on that depot until you're finished healing. If you leave early, you actually lose the ability to heal on that for another 2 minutes. Another thing that happens, if you're healing on the repair depot and somebody shoots you and interrupts that, you can no longer queue on that for once again, the 2-minute time period. So that means if you have the option of shooting your opponent before they get into the repair depot or after, you always want to shoot after. The reason being, if you shoot them after, you will have interrupted their resupply, their heal, and now they no longer get any heal from that depot whatsoever in the fight that is to come. However, if you shoot them early and you have a long reload, for example, imagine I'm playing in a Scorpion, I shoot him for 500, he can get into the repair depot, he will heal all of his health back, and it's as if I never shot him in the first place. So always shoot them after they get a tick of healing, because it will ensure that you get a lot more engagements won, especially as you're flanking in the back line like I'm doing right now. Now, going back to my initial point, my overview, I want to win a singular flank. I think it's actually it's great news for me that C hasn't been capped, because C is being held by the opponents. They're investing a ton of tanks right here. That means none of these tanks are going to affect where I'm headed over here. So I'm just driving forward as quickly as I can. I'm popping in my artillery battery, looking for a squishy tank that I can shoot while I move back into position. And my goal is to cap this point as quickly as possible. I know that if we get a cap off right here, I get to get into the artillery batteries and just start farming damage as quickly as possible. Very rarely in World of Tanks do you get to fire on reload, and in Frontline, you've got the opportunity to do that on the regular. Now, excellent play by my team. They're already capping, and this is where your flankers can get a lot of damage done. Enemy guns are naturally going to be focused onto the main force. They're probably going to be aimed at wherever the cap's going to be. So right here on the first replay, or the first capture point, you notice I got in the cap right away. Now that I've got more space on this second capture point, I'm able to flank around on the sides. I think I've just got a lot more opportunity, a lot more space to work in. You'll notice over here, there's a lot of these divots for me to move in between, and I get to circle and try to dodge as much as I can. Additionally, all of these guns are going to be pointed from their high point down onto the cap, and so if I can just flank around, I can put in a lot of damage and relieve the pressure off of the capping forces. Right here, I catch a Panther II on the side, and I know that's an absolutely juicy target for me to take care of. As I push forward, I once again want to reiterate why the LT-432 is an excellent choice. I've mentioned the damage per minute. I've mentioned that the high explosive rounds are very good, but there are several other factors that make this tank really good overall. You can absorb shells like I just did right there. The KPZ-07RH is shooting me in the side, and that means that I need to get out of dodge as quickly as possible. I'm going to farm these tanks on the low ground so that I can get below the enemy's guns. And also notice that I absorbed that shell. I blocked it, and that's something you can do in this tank that you really can't do in a bunch of other tanks. Right here on the minimap, I notice that I'm getting flanked by the I-6, the Panther II, the M4190, so I get out of dodge, and right here in this engagement, I've got the mobility and the gun handling to finish off one or two tanks, and I was able to do that without taking any damage. I don't think any other light tank could have done that. A batch at 12T would have been overmatched, would have taken damage, and then wouldn't have enough shells in the container or the damage per minute to finish off that engagement. In a tank like this, you get a little bit of armor, you get a ton of mobility. This thing can go at roughly 70 kilometers going downhill, and you just get this really nice gun. It's got pretty decent gun handling. Now, notice, as soon as I see these dots pop up, I know that this is a minefield. When you encounter minefields, they are just a death trap. You cannot survive them in almost any situation. So, as soon as I see the dots are placed, I'm driving as far away from them as I can because I don't want to risk them at all. I also know that he's been using his 7 key. He's probably not aiming very well at me, and so I know that if I just zoom around, I can use my excellent gun handling to finish off this M4190 once again for free. And now this Panther II is charging towards me. I can farm his lower plate. I can use my minefield ability right there, and now as he drives forward, my mines proc. He's stunned, slowing or lowering his damage per minute, lowering his reload overall, and I get 2 kills right there for really the price of 1 flank. Now, the capture progress is going very well. We've almost completely cleared out the opponents from this side. Once again, checking my tab key, we can see that there are only, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks left on this flank. And so if I can help clear out what's down below, we are going to be completely in the green for the next stage of my plan. And with just a few more seconds left on the cap, I'm going to make a play actually to just finish off the cap right here. I know that if I get on this cap and I finish capping it, I'm going to get a bunch of progress towards the last tier, towards general. And so if you're trying to min-max the amount of credits, the amount of progress you're making towards the general tier, then do what I'm doing right here. If you've got a free capture, take it while you can. Also, really importantly, I want to mention a misplay I'm making right now. This is a really obvious spot to be hiding. People always hide here or here, and so that means you can get artillery strikes like that even if you aren't spotted. That T-832 made a really intelligent play, and although I'm not going to die for it and it's not going to cost me anything but time, it could have been a disastrous situation if I'd been lower health. It would have been much more sensible to come out here because nobody's going to be spotting me in this scenario, and I wouldn't have been artillery striked at that point in time. Now, we've capped this point, and everything I've wanted has come to fruition. I am the first general on my team, and in just a few seconds, this forward flank is going to be completely open. Now, I do not want to go towards the first or second capture points because my opponents are going to be spawning their tanks in right here. This is probably their spawn right here. And so if I go there, I'm going to encounter a lot of tanks, and it's going to be quite a nightmare. However, if I can sneak here, you'll notice C and B have been captured, but E and F are still being defended. All of their respawns are right here for the E and F points. It's very difficult, or very few players are ever going to choose to spawn in a situation back here. That means if I can sneak back and get behind their guns, I'm going to have very few people coming at me. And perhaps most importantly for the sake of the game, if I can kill these objectives completely for free while everybody's distracted, it's going to be so much easier in the end game for my team to win overall. So I'm progressing forward, getting there as fast as I can. This is where the LT-432 is a phenomenal tank. You'll notice right now I'm going at 70. It was 72 kilometers per hour. Now I'm going at about 65. And because I'm in a light tank, my camo values are exceptional. I drive right past a medium tank at about 350 meters, and I don't get spotted for it at all. Now, I want to talk about why am I going for Objective 3? You could argue that going to Objective 5 would be a little bit easier to get to. However, Objective 3 is the most important capture point. It's the most important artillery battery, because if you manage to kill, what's really common is you'll see Objective 1 or Objective 2 killed, or perhaps 5 and then 4. What your opposing team can do is the defending team can bunch all of their 30 tanks into this small area, and it's nearly impossible to break up that stronghold. However, if you kill Objective 3 initially, then what is going to happen is you are able to split the forces. The enemy team has to decide if they're going to put tanks over here on the left flank or the right flank, because Objective 3 is no longer defensible. And so that's an incredible tip for maximizing your returns when you're in a situation like this. Always go for Objective 3 because it's the most tactically viable kill. Also notice I'm firing high explosive right here. I'm getting to use that legendary 4,500 damage per minute. And right here, these are the weak spots of these objectives. If you fire into these holes right here, you are going to be able to penetrate almost any high explosive shell in the game. However, if you're loading, if you shoot down here, this actually has a little bit more armor. These are armor models, and so you've got to be able to shoot into the holes in order to penetrate the high explosive rounds. A second thing I'm doing is I'm moving around, because if you stay still, a lot of people will artillery strike even as they're on the forward flanks, so it's much better to move around and stay as mobile as you can in this situation. I get the kill on Objective 3, and of course I want to go to Objective 4 because that's going to be much easier to cap. However, I'm doing a bit of a sneaky trick, and that is to say I feint as if I'm going to Objective 2, and that is hopefully to guide anybody who's respawning to hopefully go to Objective 2 and not to Objective 4. And that's going to allow me to get, hopefully, a little bit more damage to these objectives. So I make the feint, I make that juke, if you will, and now I'm zooming my way at 67, 68, 69 kilometers per hour all the way to Objective 4 as quickly as my little light tank can. With all my high explosive rounds exhausted, I no longer can shoot at my maximum damage per minute, but these regular rounds, I'm shooting every 4 seconds, 180 damage every 4 seconds is still a pretty decent damage per minute in this case, and now I get the free farm. Objective 4 on this map is a little unusual in the sense that it's actually inside, and so what that means is artillery can't shoot me if they're trying to, and I'm going to have very few escape opportunities. It also means that anybody who's going to try to attack me at this point in time can only come from one of 2 or 3 different ways. They can come from the side right here, which is going to be relatively unlikely because all of their tanks are pushed up, or the more likely option is they're going to go through this circle or this door over here. So right now I'm making a bit of a mistake. I should be positioning myself into the doorway so that I can spot what's coming at me. And right here in a moment I'm going to realize my mistake, and I'm going to take a look behind. I should be, yes, holding my right mouse button and then firing on reload as often as I can, because in this situation I can spot what's coming in towards me and I can get out of dodge. I can escape through this second alleyway as quickly as I want if the time comes and needs for it. Fortunately, the enemy team is completely asleep in this situation. I get to continue my absolute free farm, and nobody's coming to stop me quite yet. Now, unfortunately, I've run out of regular rounds, I've run out of high explosive rounds, and so despite having completely full health, I am zooming to the resupply depot because I need to get my rounds in. I need more ammunition as quickly as I can. I get to start shooting at the M40, M43. This is a free snack for the hard-working light tank. And now, with, in just a moment, all my high explosive rounds back, I am continuing on to the third and final objective. This is a rare game. It's pretty common to be able to kill perhaps 1 or 2 objectives solo on your own, but to be able to get to 3 objectives completely on your own in this situation, it's really completely unheard of. I've never seen this happen in any game of Frontline, and I was just completely in shock when it happened. So I'm firing my regular APCR rounds. Now I swap to my high explosive, and the farm continues. I get to keep putting my shell in. I'm moving just a little bit because in a moment you're going to see exactly what happens if you stay a little bit too still in a situation like this. Someone is about to, unfortunately, drop the artillery strike on me, and that is going to do a significant amount of damage to my tank, and this replay is going to get a lot more hectic right now. I shoot in, going to be my last high explosive round right here, and I make a mistake. I actually do a great job of recognizing that there's a Canonian Jagdpanzer flanking me, and I tried to drop my minefield. For whatever reason, it doesn't proc, it doesn't trigger. If I would have gotten the minefield off right here, perhaps I could have solo killed the Type 59, or at the very least killed the Canonian Jagdpanzer, and then I had a chance at finishing off the objective. Unfortunately, I don't get the minefield off. I can't figure out why it didn't proc, and I'm just going to panic. I try to auto-aim, I run into a pillar. Unfortunately, right here, I shoot the ground in front of me, and I miss the minefield entirely. I'm trying to shoot the objective. Perhaps I can get another shell in, but well played to the Type 59 because he finishes me off. And I'm just cursing myself right now. If I had had a more level head, I could have solo killed the objectives all on my own. And at this point in the replay, I thought I'd screwed up everything for myself. But then I have an idea. There's only 582 health remaining on Objective 5. If I can play my Barask, if I can flank around to the side, then I'm going to be able to kill that thing in just 2 shots. I don't have to farm it. I don't have to stay along for very long. If I can stay alive for quite literally 2 seconds, that's enough time for me to just kill the second objective entirely. So I'm waiting, I'm hunting for my opportunity. I see this Emil as a juicy snack right in front of me, and so I get to farm a little bit of damage in the meantime. Put those shots in, and I notice on my map there's plenty of tanks over here on the right. Going to be very hard to push into that, but if I wait long enough, and if I'm patient, I'm going to have a chance to secure the win. Still hunting for my opportunity, I'm going to take flanking shots while they're available to me. The CS-52 is in a very dangerous position for me. He can continuously snipe down onto my position, so I need to get aggressive. I need to push and hopefully find a way to dislodge him from his location. This M4A1 Rev also in a very dangerous position for me, so I'm going to push forward and see if I can find an opportunity. I thought I was going to find this ISU-122 out on his own, and while I do get a shot in, well played to him because he snaps in a double shot. Great reactions from him, and I am forced to use my hill ability. So great play by him. Did an enormous amount of damage to my tank. Now I'm going to pop my minefield, stick it on this poor M4A1 Rev as if he didn't have enough bad things to deal with just being stuck in that horrendous tank. And I can sense blood in the water. I get a little bit of a heal in 1 second, and there's nothing in between me and that objective. I don't need to survive. I don't need to live for long at all. I just need 2 seconds to unload my clip. This KPZ looks like he's going to go and shoot the Samua. And so, I was so excited at this moment. I could see a chance at glory. I rush into the spot. I rush the shot. Thankfully, it goes in. Put in the second shell, and that is 3 objectives. Solo killed on Frontline. Quite literally a 1 versus 30 victory. And I felt incredible. I solo killed every single objective on this map. I went 3 for 3, got the victory for my team, did 100% of the damage, and who says you can't carry Frontline games? This was a monster round of Frontline in World of Tanks. I ended up with around 22,000 damage, and I think one of my credit records, if not my highest, my second highest, with 818,000 credits and 19,000 experience. I actually end up with 22,932 damage overall. I did an immense, nearly all of my damage in what was going to be the LT-432, and I don't understand how this works, but with 22,000, nearly 23,000 damage, with 9 kills and solo killing 3 objectives, literally solo carrying this game, I somehow get second on experience to this top player. No idea how Wargaming figures that out. I really think there needs to be a boost to damaging the objectives. It should be more valuable in in the experience and the credit formulation because it is the win condition for the attacking side. Still, can't complain because with 3,500 base experience, I have more than enough for my needs. If we look individually at the stats, I earned 818,000 credits, and because I was firing almost completely regular ammunition, I get 706,000 credits profit. That's one of the highest profits I've ever seen on Frontline. And if you add into that the 81,000 credits added to the stock reserves, this was nearly 800,000 credits profit from a single game of Frontline, and I don't even think it was the full 26 minutes. Interestingly, or I don't know why, Wargaming registers all the times you shoot the objective as misses. I did not miss. It was 53 rounds, but it's for whatever reason the calculations are off in this scenario. With 22,932 damage, I actually took 26 hits. Notice I had 9 of those didn't damage my tank, and that really is the power of the LT-432. It's incredibly well armored for a light tank and just a wicked little beast on the battlefield. If we look explicitly at what the LT-432 ended up doing, I get 19,897 damage, one round short, just one round on that Type 59 short of hitting the clear-cut 20,000 damage, and with 615,000 credit profit coming purely off of this tank, this thing completely carried me, and this is why I've got it ranked as an S-tier vehicle in the Frontline game mode. You can't beat its combination of speed, of damage per minute, of high explosive, and just the tiny touch of armor that allows you to do so much more than you otherwise would be. I took 29 hits, 9 of those did not damage my vehicle, and that's exceptional from a light tank. And of course, it wouldn't be a complete Frontline replay if I wasn't able to feature the Brask at least a little bit. I end up shooting 7 shots, and because these two were actually into the Frontline artillery battery, I shoot 7, I connect 7, and so earn a 90,000 credit profit. And this was, I think, my favorite game of Frontline ever. It was the feeling you get when you get into the backline and you just get to prowl around doing whatever you want. It's amazing. There are so many outplays you can make with mines, with a heal, that it really feels like the peak of World of Tanks. Yes, Frontline's not very competitive. Yes, I was abusing players that didn't have enough situational awareness, but it's these thrilling moments, this feeling of going out on your own, sneaking around, spying, and then securing the win, securing the victory for your team. It's what makes Frontline feel amazing. Combine that with the credit profits, and it really is a fantastic game experience. I hope you enjoyed the video. Really thankful for having you here. Please remember, at 1,000 subscribers, we are going to be hosting a World of Tanks giveaway. I'm going to be giving away a Tier 8 Premium to one of you. All you have to do to be entered, be subscribed, be publicly subscribed so that I can see it, and then comment in the comment section on any video, and you have a chance to win either 1,000 gold, 500 gold, or for one lucky winner, a full Tier 8 Premium. Once again, thanks for watching. I'm LadPad, and I'm out.